Hello everyone. Today's video will be a Q&A. In past videos and on Facebook and Twitter I asked you that if you have any questions that you please post in the Team Liquid thread I made for my video blog. You can find my Team Liquid thread in the StarCraft 2 general forum, so if you like this format, and then you should please tell me. If you don't like it, you can tell me also, and if you have more questions, then please post on Team Liquid. Just saying that at the beginning so I don't forget for the future, because I plan to make more than one video, because I like to give elaborate answers at times. So the first question is, admittedly I forgot to write down the names who asked them. Maybe I will do that in the future. Do you think Germany will get an international level Terran in the foreseeable future, now that Goody has kind of fallen off in the international competition? If yes, who? Well, Goody hasn't fallen off that much, but I agree he is definitely not doing as good as he used to, like a year ago or so. I guess there's two candidates mainly. It's DBS and DarKFoRcE. In general, I thought DarKFoRcE was a bit better, but there's one big problem with him, is that he does not seem to have all too much motivation to actually play in international tournaments, and like even in German tournaments. Like, I'm really not sure. He doesn't seem to think it's worth like to travel much. And like, for example, he was too lazy to register, like to enter the ESL Amateur Series to play ESL Pro Series in Germany, which is actually not that much work, and it's relatively easy money. So yes, I think he has quite some potential, but I think he's also studying on the side. Yeah, it's possible. DBS is very similar. He played full-time for a year in the Type House in Germany. But I know that he has moved back home and that he wants to study now. I think he definitely has potential. I mean, he qualified. Oh no, wait, he didn't qualify for WCS. He lost against DarKFoRcE in the deciding match there, I think. But anyway, I think he has quite some potential. But like, to make it like really good international level, I think both kinda lack the commitment. If they really committed more, I think both would have a decent shot, but like this, unsure. Anyway, next question. Are there any players that you model your game style of play on? I don't really have like a go-to player if I want to see like how to play something. There's quite a few things that I actually like, where I develop my own style. But for example, for ZVZ, like some time ago I copied the build order of Startail Live. Back then he was in Xenex, and he had really good ZVZ stats, and I was really impressed by his build. I really liked it a lot, and now it actually has become the standard. Like a few weeks or maybe 2 months, I'm not sure when that was, like, but sometime later now actually that build has become the standard, and I actually copied it quite some time ago already, and I fine-tuned like the follow-ups and such. I don't know exactly how he plays that, but yes, like I just look out for like builds that like make sense to me and that I like, and then I copy them. But yes, Startail Live was one player that I copied for ZVZ. ZVT, I guess you can I learned some from Nest-T, Dongrigo. Linok I don't like so much. He often plays like very gambly. I mean, you can like copy some all-ins from him. Actually, I think maybe I copied some CVP all-in from him. ZVP I learned from Dongrigo. I have to think. Some from Stefano, like yes, some from Stefano. Yeah, like generally in a ZVP I took like some influences, but like generally more like about like how you make the beginning build, like how you make the initial build up, like whether you build another queen before the third hatch, and like whether you like, yeah, like when do you take gases and stuff like that. I took some things from other players, but then for like how do you follow it up, like I kind of developed my own style. I think I don't copy all too much, but of course like many players play very similar. Like basically you try to get to Brood Lords, that's it in most cases. And if Protoss fail, like attacks and fails before, then of course you can kill him earlier. But generally, like the fast Brute Lord style is something that many Zerg players play. And yes, yeah, actually I copied the 3 base into link speed into Muta with the earlier gas. That's something I copied from Nest, and I really like that opening. So yes, I don't have like one player. I really just like pick things that I like, because many players have like one matchup that I really like their style, and in another matchup I don't like it. I don't like them so much, and so I don't just like copy or learn a lot from one player. Next question: who are the players you think are the best you have faced? The best player I have ever played against was MMA. I found him more impressive than MVP, to be honest. I played against MVP also. It both was in the GeForce tournament, and yes, like MMA, he just played like basically flawless. Like you make like one small mistake, insta game over. And MVP actually, it felt quite a bit easier, admittedly, at that time to play against him. I even won one game. One game was quite close, and I think in one game he owned me easily, and the last one I forgot. So yes, like MMA is like, and I like I've heard that from other players too. Like MMA is really the most impressive player I've played against. I know he's not the best player right now, but like from all the players I've played against and such, it was really like the hardest I've ever played. Well, Marine King I played against, obviously he's very famous, but it was just best of 1 at WCG, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess those 3 like are pretty much the best ones I've played against. I also played against Teja in a clan war. Yeah, but I wasn't as impressed as I was with MMA, to be honest. Like that's really like the one player I was super impressed by. Which players are your closest friends and training partners? Well, closest friends, I guess Socke, Hasuops, Delphi, Cloud, Reen. Yeah, actually, I'm closer to Reen than to Cloud. But Reen, he doesn't play so much right now, and I'm not. Yeah, he's a bit into Dota and those kind of things. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I forgot Nomi. I forgot. I actually. Yes, I guess those kinda. Training partners. The most custom games I've made with Reen. He's like the most. How do you say? Like no, I missed the word. Like if you need someone to practice, like you can practice with him, and like you don't need to wait like an hour for him to make coffee. That's how it is with Socke. And yeah, it's like I've practiced. Yeah, it's custom game wise, like with Reen. Of course, I've played with Socke, Delphi, Cloud. I've lately not anymore. Like I play sometimes with Kras, bit with Bling or so, but mainly like my teammates. Yeah, that's it basically. And Reen. Who are your favorite casters? Yeah, I guess Tasteless and Artosis. Yes, like I mean, I like Artosis much better than Tasteless. I think Tasteless, like lately. At the last GSL cast I listened to, I actually like try to like filter out what Artosis said, and just like listen to Tasteless. And I actually found that he was like mostly saying like yes to what Artosis said, and like saying like random lines that you could apply to like situations that come up in every game. Like I think Tasteless is slacking a bit, but generally like they are still a very nice duo, because Tasteless is very funny and Artosis really has good insight into the game. Like he actually says like smart things at times, and with other casters I'm sometimes just sitting here and like saying like shut the fuck up, because it's just bullshit what they are talking. And I also like Wolf and Caldo, even if they sometimes like blubber a bit and say things that just sound just wrong, like very wrong. But I think they go well with each other. They are kind of funny and they do a pretty good job. I mean, every caster says crap sometimes. And I actually think like Total Biscuit is a good play-by-play caster. Of course, he has very little clue about the game, but like he is for play-by-play, I think he is good. And other than that, I like Rob Simpson. I think he's a nice caster, and yeah, I admitted I'm not that big of a fan of like most of the American casters because I think they are a bit over enthusiastic for me. That's just not my kind of thing. Anyway, I think that those were enough. Mm. What do you think about the player bashing that can be read here at Team Liquid? Is it demoralizing? Yes, it is. I think people often underestimate like how much of an impact they can make on some players, like by posting like really retarded comments. But I mean, I think most players learn to not ever read comments. Like if I play a match, I mean I sometimes read the comments, but especially if I lose, I'm not going to read the comments. Because I know there's just hate going. There's only hating. People are very results oriented. If you played like some kind of risky strat and it failed, they are flaming about how stupid and what kind of retard you are for doing this and that. And they just don't really understand the game, but they think they know, and that's just frustrating. So yes, I think people are pretty retarded for for bashing on players, and they just really oftentimes don't understand what's going on at all, but they like post things as if they had like total knowledge and they had like really knew what was like the thought process behind something. And yeah, that's annoying. What steps do you think foreign teams could take to make foreign players close the gap to the top Koreans? That's very hard. I think it's not something that's only about the teams. Of course, providing team houses is a good thing. But to be honest, I think one problem is simply that foreign players are not simply don't have the kind of work ethic, if you can call it that, like the Koreans. Like the Koreans, they do nothing else, and they just practice. They practice, and I think they really have almost no life apart from that. And I am it's just very hard to like find a foreigner who is willing to live his life like that, because I mean it's just admittedly it's not that appealing, and well, like for me it's the same. Like even if I were in a team house, I would and I could not practice the amount of hours the Koreans play, because I simply lose focus after the most 2 hours, and like my head gets hot, and I simply need to take a break. I need to put some cold water over my head and take a break. And I honestly don't know how they do it. And yeah, like I think, well, of course, team houses, well, having more sponsors, like providing salaries so players can really focus on playing and don't need like, well, do something else on the side, because that really is a problem. But yeah, I really think it's, as long as, and I think it will stay like that, as long as like the work ethic of the generally Asians have a very different work ethic in my opinion than Westerners. As long as that doesn't change, I also don't think the gap will close in that much. I mean, the EG house is not doing in control machine and it was that much good. Yeah. What is your biggest strength in game? I think I'm pretty good at like analyzing a situation, like from routine. I know, like I see a certain pattern, and then I have a trained routine that I can run, and to basically win from there. Like I know what I have to do. Sometimes I fail. But I think generally that's something that I'm pretty good at. That I can like see like a certain pattern, and then I know how I have to adjust. And I think I'm also pretty good at like staying calm, and like not always, admittedly, sometimes it happens that I like get like overzealous and try to finish the game. But generally that's I think something that I'm rather good at. That I like can like, even if I play against someone better, that I don't like try to finish the game quickly, get in a hurry, but that I just play calmly and like calmly finish the game, and that I finish games in a safe way. Sometimes people find that very boring when I'm building a few more infestors and a few more broodlords before I attack. But you know, I mean, my opponent could just GG, and I just try to maximize my winning percentage. Yeah. What sets your playstyle apart from other Zergs? I mean, I mean, basically, like, at least if you look at a single matchup, my playstyle is similar to at least a couple of players. I mean, overall, I think I don't know a player that really has like the very similar style in all matchups combined, but like at least in a single matchup, there's at least like a couple of players. So, I mean, again, what I just said, like that I don't get overzealous. I think that's something that many people it's a problem for many people, especially for upcoming players, that they get overzealous and throw away a big lead. And maybe that's something that sets me apart. Also, that I accept that an opening does not necessarily have to give me a big advantage. Like often you see people try to get a big advantage out of an opening, but I'm happy if I get a small advantage out of an opening, and I just accept that you can't always like you can't always try to like get ahead far at the beginning of the game. Like sometimes you just have to do that like slowly over the course of the game. And I think that's very important to accept that and not try to like force and like take like retarded risks just to like get super far ahead and win for sure then. What sets the top EU players apart from the top Koreans? I guess it should be more like the other way around, because the Koreans are like way better. Well, they practice more, they have a better training environment. Especially the Terrans, there's a very big difference. Like generally the Koreans have way better mechanics, and I really think like the big mistake is simply they make less mistakes. They do less retarded and stupid things. Like you see foreigners, even the pretty good ones, they just often make like really like big blunders, and that just lose them the game outright. And the Koreans just do those way more rarely and like less big mistakes. Like that's really what it's about. Like the Koreans, they just don't make like as many big blunders. Like they forget to force field. Like the force field is just a big gap in the force field. All the links run in and like everything dies. I mean, you've seen that before, even the Koreans, I guess. But it's just that the the foreigners, they do those things much more often. And and with Terrans, I think like the game sense, like especially Terrans is a super big difference. They have much better game sense and understanding of like when they actually have to attack, and they are much more careful when they attack. Like the Marines, they just don't get caught by banelings, you know? Like a foreigner, he just like moves his army unsieged onto creep, and then it stands there for a second, gets surrounded by baneling, Terran cries imba and leaves the game. But that doesn't happen with Koreans. They don't just run onto your creep. They don't just like get their Marines caught by banelings. It just doesn't happen. Like if they see the banelings coming, they stim, run away. The tanks focus the banelings and so on. So yeah, they just like have so much more routine, and like just don't make like those random blunders that you see foreigners often to make. So one more question, and then we will be done for today. Do you think it is beneficial, gives you an advantage to play an own unique style that is different to others' standard? And the person that asked the question asked you like, gave you an example, Goody, not sure how unique is TVC, Bly's CVP, I don't know much about that, Gateway expands in PVZ. Is it more difficult to play against those strategies if the opponent is very experienced in that style? Or do you think they are easy to deal with because they are a bit weaker than the standard play? Well, it definitely gives you some sort of advantage, because like surprising your opponent with something he does not know is definitely an advantage. Like for sure, if you if your opponent hasn't seen something before, it's very hard to like make the right like give the right answer like on the fly. But of course, like if it really depends a bit on what it is. there are some styles that are like unique but really bad. Like Goody's TVZ, he's not unique anymore because he actually started to learn standard play. But back in the day, yes, his TVZ was very unique. You checked his match history, what he did in his last ladder games, and that's what he's going to do in the tournament game. Hellion, Banshee, Expansion, Mech, basically. And yes, it was good in a way, but once you learned how to deal with it, like once you played against it a couple of times, it was really noticeable that it was inferior. And yes, like I actually have tried really hard lately to like find things like that, like unusual plays that are at the same time somewhat effective, and I would be willing to sacrifice a certain sacrifice a bit of efficiency or whatever you want. Like I would accept a disadvantage on paper for a surprise moment, but of course it can't be like super big, because I mean, for example, Roach Ling all-ins in ZVP. Yes, they are surprising, but they are surprisingly bad usually. And Protoss players, they just got very good at defending them. And so, yeah, I just don't really... Like, there were so many all-ins that you could do against Protoss, but like they got really good at defending them. For example, like Ling Baneling drops. Like 2-base Ling Baneling drop against a Forge expansion. But yeah, I mean, generally, yes, like to answer the question finally, yes, it is an advantage, but it's really like it needs to be like not only like it does not have to rely too much on you or your opponent like reacting completely wrong, because otherwise, yeah, I think it's not that good. Yeah, and by now I think like most of the unusual styles are simply known, and if you know about it and roughly know what to do, then usually it's good enough that you end up on at least equal footing. And then it's a disadvantage to even practice those kind of styles, because if your opponent needs to know less than you to end up on equal footing, it's not that good. And yes, of course, if you know super well like all the variations, and it's like something actually fairly complex, then yes, it's very good. But those things don't exist anymore. It existed like long time ago. For example, 2-Rex when it first came out, like if you were super good at 2-Rexing and your opponent did not have much experience, it was like super powerful. But yes, like basically I think like all those like very tricky things, like for the most part have been figured out, and like people know about it, and so it's not that beneficial anymore. And yeah, I've been trying to find those kind of things lately, and I haven't found all too much. Okay, that's it for today. Again, if you like this kind of format here, Q&A or not, please post. You can post in YouTube comments. I generally prefer if you post in my Team Liquid thread. I can quickly show you that one. So you go to Team Liquid, StarCraft 2, let me check, StarCraft 2 General, and then here, DarKFoRcE video blogs, and then you can make a post there. Yes, you see like people are also asking question here. I haven't come to this question yet. And one last thing, I got a couple of questions that were like, what led to your decision to become a programmer? What made you to quit whatever you were doing at that time, and those kind of things. I will make an entire video just about that, like how I got to become a pro, and like whether I like it, like what are the ups and downs, what I want to do afterwards, and those kind of things. I will make a video just about that. That's already in the planning. Not sure when that will be. Tomorrow's video or Thursdays, I'm not sure, will be about the WCS bracket. Like I will make a preview. So I'm not sure, might be after WCS. Anyway, thanks for watching, and good night.